Hello everyone, this is Dad back with the next progress report on my Corsair, all the upgrades and repairs and such. So the last video I was still working on the oil tank, so now today I just finished up the oil tank installation. So the tank is installed, belt tensioner's back in, belt's back on, everything's tightened up, PCV hose is up to here. I haven't clamped it yet because I got to pull the intake off to put another bung in there for this vacuum fitting line, but goes into the tank here, and then I've got a drain tube, comes all the way down and out the bottom of the airplane cowling, like so. And there's the, let me sit down here folks, and there's the two oil feed lines going from the tank. The rear one, the closest one in the video, is the feed into the oil pump, and the right side is the return line up into the tank. And again, there's a tube in there that goes all the way to the top of the tank, so the return oil. I was able to reuse my drain, fuel drain for water, for sumping the water. I shortened up that hose here, so you can see the dog leg is gone. I bought a new piece of hose for here today. I actually put a spring in there. I found a thin spring and I stretched it out and slipped it in there because this just wanted to kink. There's a slight kink in it now down there, but it's not going to be a big deal because once this heats, that's basically the end of the spring right there. That's the coolant for warm-up. When the engine's running, coolant goes into the block, crosses over on that short black hose to the other side, and I remounted the tank over here now. I took out that T-fitting I had in there where the water temp sending unit was attached. This guy, the one I made, spent all that time building, because I couldn't put this back over here anywhere. The oil tank was in the way. So my coolant temp sensor for the gauge on the instrument panel went in here, and that's this guy. So options are, well, to bung in this, put it back in there, or untie it in from the harness that goes to the fuel pump and bring it in and come up in through the bottom of this, so both the computer sensor and the engine coolant sensor for the instrument panel would both be in this one block. And that's basically the inlet side of the pump. So this one's going to basically show me, because the water is going to come out of the block, go into here, come back to here, it's going to deadpan right here with the other side until the thermostat opens over here. Thermostat's up in there, so we'll have to think about that. But anyway, I got the drain tubes there, the wires in there, rerouted, just stuffed that tube on there. But you can see I got the muffler just kind of setting back on there again. Now the next concern is the wideband oxygen sensor. I did order that this past week, and it did show up Friday. So as you see, there's the fuel pump. Remounted the fuel pump over here. Line's going up into there. Line's coming out of the tank there. Goes down into there. That's the suction side, and the fuel filter is right here. That is probably going to get mounted underneath here. And then the hose coming out of there will feed into one end, and then another hose will feed out of there into the gas tank. So I emptied the tank, took out the alcohol, blended gas, and threw it in the lawnmower. Gave me a little over half a tank in the lawnmower. So but you can see everything's all tidied up nice, other than just, you know, finishing the wiring. This is the air temp sensor wires that are going to go somewhere, either in the air filter assembly or just mounted here in the engine compartment, just so it has a reference for air temperatures. The wideband oxygen sensor came, as I mentioned. Here's the wideband sensor. This is a 5-wire sensor. This is the gauge. It's a blue one. Can't really see it. Let me see if it'll show up. Yeah, you can just make it out. So it's just upside down. If you can see the letters and numbers inside. I don't want to really take off my protective coating here, but you can make it out. So when it's not on, it just looks like a blacked out gauge, but you can just make out the blue LED material in there. So it's a 2 1/16 diameter, and the aircraft gauges I'm using are exactly, this is the clamp to clamp it into the back of the instrument panel. Again, it's going to go in there, so it'll come in from the back side. So the 4 little holes around it, I'm going to have to put the screws back in just with some nuts on there to hide the holes. That's all. So it's going to go right there. So this was maybe 210 bucks. I think Summit Racing did free shipping on anything over like $100.50. But this is the brains of the unit here, the controller, power and ground, and yellow is the signal wire. Let's see, yeah, the yellow one I think is signal to the gauge, and the brown one is, I can't remember what that one's for, but on this harness, red and black is power and ground, white hooks to the yellow, and that's signal, and then the yellow, if you hook it to like a headlight switch or my nav lights, it'll dim the gauge. So you can have a little bit of an auto dimming there if you just power up that wire. This other brown wire is, I can't remember what it's for, but it's nothing I need to use. Let's see if it says one of these. Red, black, yellow. White. Mine is the LC2 that I marked with an arrow here. Hook up, so these other ones, LM2, LM1, doesn't go to mine. So either way, but one of them is like I want to say it might be a 1 volt, 0 to 1 volt output, but the one wire out of here, it might be the brown one. There's the inputs here. That's it. Here's a computer connector, which can't use. I cut it off though and still use the wires, but that's the terminal wires out of that to the computer, so you can work on it. And then the input wires, you can add inputs and outputs, but you can take the output on this and hook it into my computer, and then when I have my laptop on there, I'll be able to read the actual air-fuel ratio on the laptop as well as on the gauge. So it's a nice unit, and there's supposed to be a rebate on this, but it didn't come with any rebate. Probably have to go through Summits and get the rebate. But it was like a $25 rebate, which brings it down to like $180 some. So alright, well, I think that's about all I got done. It was enough. I finished welding on the tabs to bolt this to the firewall. Oh, and then I put that on low. All the original tank mounts were here and here. This was a hole that I made for the cable that I didn't use. So I went to Lowe's and found these little plugs, stainless or chrome plated or whatever they are. I didn't check these, but I just threw some stainless screws in here with nuts on the backside to plug all the holes. I got 2 here, 1 over there, 1 down here. I had to plug all, and then there's another one of these plugs. I got to get a bigger one. There's 1 hole left. If you can see it back here. Right down there. There is one big hole. I thought there was 1/2 inch. I bought 2 1/2 inch and 1 3/8. Well, this one was more like a little bigger, 7/16, and the other one was 1/2 inch, and the plug fit fine in those. Actually, I think I had to ream them just a little bit. But so I had to plug all the holes in the firewall. So everything's plugged except for 1. And then again on this side, there's that screw there, which was the fuel pump screws, and then there's another one down there. I think that's pretty much it. So, but the tank's all done. It's ready to fill as soon as I get this mounted. As soon as I can find a place to put that, it's ready to put the water back in. The oil can go in now too because it's all done. So, and of course the muffler, it comes with a bung. Fine, I think I set it over here. And I can't put it on top because there's no room. There's not enough clearance in there for the sensor to go up in here where I'd like to put it. It's too tight to get in here to try and weld. So I'm going to put it right here underneath this. It's best to keep it on the high side, but anything in this muffler is going to get trapped is going to lay in here and it's going to drain out the tubes anyway. So that's, I'm going to weld it right there, and then that cable is actually long enough just by itself, the sensor cable, that it will physically reach all the way up in here and go into the fuselage. Just out of my hand. But I could put a hole in here, but it's got to be a big enough hole to either pass that through, or even bigger hole to pass this big old connector through. This is probably a little smaller. And then you'd have to make some guards to go around it with a grommet. But I can run it in here and it'll run it down into this cavity. And then all this excess cable, I forgot I wanted to order the one with the 3-foot cable, basically the extension, this thing here. You can't cut it down. It's got a plug on here, it's all molded. Got this plug's all molded, so this is 8 foot long. I don't need it. A 3-foot one would have been perfect. Maybe I can still order one or exchange it or something, but either way, if I use that, it could be all stuffed down in here. I've got where the old computer was, and then it has to come out and be able to go to the gauge. So my next bit of work is to get this welded in the muffler, locate those holes, get them drilled, get the down tubes welded in, and then get the cowling up there. Like I said, I'm going to shorten that cowling back a little bit on my extension, and then I'll figure out where to dump the holes out, the pipes out of there. So, well, I think we're going to keep this one short. It's an absolutely gorgeous day today. It's like mid-70s. Humidity finally dropped down. I had rain yesterday and the night before, but I just got to get this thing. I did have a couple. This fitting fits it. I don't fit it, but that's 1/4-inch pipe, and that's too big. I don't want to use it. So I was thinking of using this, maybe put it in the lathe, turn it down, take this plug, drill a hole in it, turn this down, and press it together. Leave a little shoulder on this. Turn this down so it's round. This hex. Turn it, because that's all solid. Turn it way down and make a nipple to just drill and press it into that, and then I'll have me a nipple that'll fit my hose. But that will fit on that hose. So, okay, I think that's going to do her. I am about whooped. So tomorrow I'll probably get to work on that. Maybe get this fit in if that's where I want to put it. Otherwise I'll have to make a bung for that over there. And I had to weld in another piece of tubing here, a real short one. And then I took this one out and turned it down, shortened it up, just to keep this all, so nothing's going to hit in here. So, but it's nice and solid. Doesn't touch anything. Got a little better clearance going through there. Got a little bit of a kink here, but once this thing gets heated up, this will come out. That little kink will come out. That's the outlet, and it goes into the radiators, back over to the inlet. So the plugs are all still loose on this. But what I need to do is get my timing light out. I'll have to have somebody help me and crank it over, but I can use this timing sprocket over here, because when the tooth is at this sensor, that should be 10 degrees before top dead center. So when the spark plug fires, I should see the timing right here to let me know that it's at 10 degrees. And then that'll let me know that the program and everything's fine. So, okay, that's going to do her. Last thing again is still to get this mounted down so it doesn't come loose, and then like safety wire everything up. Get these studs trimmed down and threaded, and get the wing nuts on there. and that'll be finished. And then before the cowling goes on, again, this will be pulled down around here somewhere, maybe come off of this up here and hold it, but something's got to hold this down inside the cowling. And then get that filter mounted up underneath, plumbed in, get the little brackets made here for screwing the gas tank down in. This one will probably just come across the top, screw it down in here. I'm just going to plan on 4 screws, one basically in each corner. Alrighty, so yeah, here's the old gauge that used the screws. And I get the gaskets put in, get the exhaust all back together, fuel lines. Hopefully I got everything I need. Alright everyone, I guess that's going to do her finally for this time. We're about 16 minutes in, so keep it short, so I'm not running over my 18-minute limit. Have to do a splice. Alright everyone, as always, appreciate everybody taking the time to watch my videos. Feel free to leave any comments, questions, concerns. And appreciate the comments that everybody's leaving for it. There is a little indicator light on here, status light, turns red or green, blinks. Alright, and appreciate the people that are leaving comments, and as always, don't be afraid to leave comments. Alright, so I'm going to go now, and I will, battery's almost dead too, so I will catch you guys again, more than likely Tuesday night, and I should have a bunch more of this tied up. Okay everyone, that's going to do her, and I will see you guys later. This is Done and Done out.